I was telling all of my investors, I was saying, hey, I can sell you turnkeys right now for $45,000 and $50,000 and $60,000. And I'm like, it might be time to start taking chips off the table in those markets that you bought 4 or 5 years ago and start buying here. A couple of them were very smart. A couple of them heeded the advice. Most of them didn't, because they were like, okay, why not? Why I'm making good money with the rentals that you sold me in Hammond and Maryville and all those other areas. And the ones that did, that got in early, have been absolutely floored, honestly. Like, if you just think about it, if you're a passive investor and if you buy a property from a turnkey provider and in 5 years that property doubles or triples in value. I mean, I've had so many of them.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pro Show. I'm your host, Erika, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Tom Olson, a true powerhouse in the real estate game. He's doing it all. Tom, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Erika. I'm glad to be here. I'm in sunny Florida right now, looking out at the beach, our condo, and it's amazing.
I'm sure it is. And I think our listeners are going to be in for a treat with your story and how you're juggling so many different moving parts in the real estate industry while keeping your vision front and center. So I just want to cut right to the chase. Tom, how did you get started? How did you learn how to manage all these companies?
Well, that's a long story. We definitely don't have
Cliff
time.
notes if we can.
We definitely don't have time for all of that. I will tell you that. I have read at least 800 or 900 books. I have been through the whole EOS entrepreneur system of how to build businesses, and I do consult for that. But so it's been building blocks, I'll tell you that. But I think my story really all gets started. I was 12 years old and I started working in construction all through high school. I worked through construction, got married super young, still married to my beautiful wife here of 28 years. And I started a side business right out of high school. I went to a year of college and literally said, you know what, this is not for me. Not because I thought I was something special. It was just, I saw all the people in college and I said, I don't want to be like any of these people that are around me. And I don't want to be like any of these professors. So what in the world am I doing here in college? And really, like, in hindsight, that was probably one of the smartest things I could have ever done. And I didn't know it. There's been times of my life where I kind of felt like, oh, maybe I should have done, finished college, or I should have done that. But today I'm like, absolutely not. Some people I think should go to college for certain things, but it was not for me. But started working in the trades, learned construction, read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and said, hey, I can own a rental. I like to have these little cash machines, as he calls it. And, that's how you can have financial freedom. I don't need financial freedom by, becoming a billionaire. I just can, as long as I just have enough of these little cash machines sitting around that are paying me every month, I can have financial freedom. I can do that. I can help a lot of people by doing that. So got started in, I bought my first rental when I was 20 years old, right after I bought my first house.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And kind of getting off to the races, right? Well, that first rental didn't go so good, which it never does, right? That's kind of the story you always hear. The first deal I did was horrible. I told my wife I would never do the deal. I'd never buy a rental again. That didn't happen for me, but that's what I always hear, at least. And we sold it. We actually made like $15,000, which for me in my 20s, that was a lot of money, in my mid 20s, but didn't really get back into the real estate game heavily until about 2000. And then in 2006, I was doing a lot of new construction work at the time. I had a side business going, making six figures. And in your late 20s, that's a lot. That was a lot of money for me, at least back then. And we thought things were going great. And then wouldn't you know it, within 2 months, all the new construction starts stopped. I mean, our county went from 500 permits being pulled for building new construction to 50 in 1 month. And then it never went back. And I don't even think it still has gotten back to 500, new building permits for new houses in our county. So it was kind of like, God was saying, I'm taking you in a whole different direction and you just better come along for the ride and you better enjoy it because I got some good things for you. That's kind of my life. So at that point in time, between 2006 and 2009 was a whirlwind. I will tell you, we sold our house in Crown Point, Indiana, which if you're from Northwest Indiana, that's the place to live. Like that's the A neighborhood. I moved to Gary, Indiana. I bought a house, paid cash, $19,000. I paid for this house, put $15,000 into it. I had boarders living in my basement to help me pay for my housing at the time. And when you go from making $120,000, $130,000 a year to 20, you change what you do. My house in Crown Point, I kept as a rental through the whole crash and everything. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to rent the nice house. I'm going to go to Gary, Indiana. And during that whole time, it was definitely a humbling experience, but it was definitely an experience where I can say I didn't just pout. I didn't just blame everybody else. I didn't blame the government. I didn't blame the people down the street. I said, you know what can I do? I woke up every morning. I prayed and asked God, what can I do today? I still remember walking around a track of an old abandoned school that actually has been torn down now. And I just remember thinking, man, the people here in Gary, Indiana, they need help. Like you think you're going through a tough time right now, but this whole city has been dilapidated. It was the murder capital of the year of the world in the 80s. And he's like, this city needs help. However bad you think you have it, somebody else has it way, way worse. And I just remember that like kind of just hitting in my heart. And I was going to this mastermind back then called Collective Genius. And I remember a guy getting up, and I don't remember who the guy was, but he's like, if you have a dream in your heart and you never speak it, you never say what it is that you want to do, number one, you'll probably never do it because nobody else will know about it. And you need to let other people know about what your dreams are. You need to speak that into life, and you need to just every day, you need to just get up and say, hey, I'm going to do this. So my dream was to flip the city of Gary, Indiana. And I was like, crap, I can't believe I actually said that out loud. So the next Collective Genius, I actually got out there, and it was interesting how the people came and asked questions about it. I was still younger, obviously, at that point in time. And so that kind of all led me through a lot of different circumstances. When my job decided to kind of dry up, I started making phone calls. I had never made phone calls before, never really marketed my side business, but I'm like, hey, if my boss doesn't have full-time work for me, I gotta get out there and work. I made 3 phone calls. I did jobs for 2 of those people. And then one of those guys I did a job for, and I went out there, gave him a scope of work, did the job. And at the end of the job, he said, you know what, Tom, you are the only contractor. He's like, I've been doing construction business for 30 years. And he's like, you are the only contractor in 30 years that has ever come out
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
You were on time, number one. I mean, it is so hard to get contractors to actually show up on time when they say that they're going to come out and look at your project, right? He's like, you're the first person to come out on time to give me a scope of work the day of. Most contractors now are taking like a week to give you like numbers and tell you what things are going to be. And I understand that too, because we have a pretty large construction company now, but you're the first person to do that. Give me the scope of work, start on time, end on time, and end on budget. He's like, I've never had anybody do that. And so I want you to be my project manager for all my projects. So I was like, okay, great. I just literally went from having a job, not having a job, and now I have a job again already. It wasn't really a job. He paid me as 1099. And we were kind of partnering on the deal because his payment to me was 50% of the profit he was going to make. Like that was my pay. My pay wasn't, this much per hour. It was just, hey, we're going to do these projects. You're going to do the scopes of work to begin with. You're going to work with the contractors. You're going to work with the investors. Basically, he was telling me, hey, you're going to do my job and we're going to split the profit. So, and that's what I did. Honestly, I happily did it for 6 months. We worked a lot. It was 60, 70, 80 hour week, work weeks. Then 6 months later happens and he comes to me and has another conversation because we would meet weekly to write out bills and pay contractors and to make sure everything was kosher and pay me when I needed to be paid and such. And he came to me and he said, you know what, Tom, I'm moving to Mississippi. And I'm like, what? Really? I'm like, well, what are we going to do with all these investors that we've been serving? And he's like, well, you can do whatever you want with them. And I'm like, okay, cool. Basically, like, forget non-competes, forget anything. Like, you just gave me your 3 customers and you said I could take them, basically. So I went to these 3 customers and I said, hey, if I could help you find a house, if I could give you a scope of work before you bought the house, and if I could bring you the best realtor, would you hire me to do your construction work? I had no idea, that I was offering 2 other pieces of the puzzle that was actually more valuable than even just the contracting work. But that one instance, I flipped 100 homes for these 3 investors over the next 3 years. We were basically doing about 2 or 3 rehabs a month. And the average profit on those investments were $26,000. And I was like, man, the more and more I did it, the more and more I realized, actually, this is real value. This is a real deal. So so then towards the end of that whole conversation and that whole experience in my life, I started going to the investors and I was like, if I'm going to do this for you, I think I should get a finder's fee. I think I should get a couple $1,000s when I find you a house at the beginning. And then I think I should get 15% of your profit at the end of the deal. So I was actually getting a $2,000 finder's fee and a 15% of the profit of the deal at the end. But by the time that whole thing subsided in about 2011 or ish or so, 2009, I partnered with a man, and we wholesaled between 2009 and 2016-ish, about 1,500 homes.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
So I learned the acquisition game. About how to acquire. I learned about ARV, which I had kind of already done. I had already known this. I just didn't know exactly how to acquire. I remember a lot of the houses that we purchased were HUD homes, where you could literally put a house under contract, and we sold 500 homes without a buyer's list. And I'll tell you how we did it, Erika. We put out bandit signs to sell. A lot of times these people think, oh, you use bandit signs to acquire houses, and a lot of the wholesalers put those out. But we were putting bandit signs out to actually sell homes before we had any idea what a buyer's list was. In fact, I still remember conversations about a buyer's list, and we were just completely lost. Like, what? How do you build a buyer's list? What do you do to have a buyer's list? Until somebody finally stood up and said, hey, buyer's list is just a list of people's names, emails, and phone numbers, and you just send them when you have deals. Like, that's it. That's all it is. It's not very complicated. But it took us about 3 or 4 months to figure that it wasn't very complicated. So from there, quit that partnership in 2017 and started we started One Property Solution, One Group Network, One Construction Management Company. We are licensed contractors. We are licensed property managers. We have about 600 doors under management. We do build and manage rental portfolios for investors. Then we started our own portfolio as well under a company called Sarah Joe LLC, which is actually my late mother-in-law's name. So we named it after my late mother-in-law. And my wife runs that company. And we've got a lot of midterm rentals in that business. We also have a listing leaders affiliated brokerage, which my wife owns and runs that. It's really a very small brokerage. It's mostly just her and 2 or 3 other people. Most of the deals that go through there are her deals that we acquire from or sell from our companies or our investors as well. We do work with a lot of our investors to try to help them find properties or sell properties as needed. And then we also started Good Success, which is a education company. Today, we are running a Dealmaker meetup group through that. We do a 3-day event once a year called the Gary Dealmaker, where people can come to Gary and see how we are flipping the city of Gary, Indiana, but also connect with other investors. We have national speakers. I mean, the speakers at the event are amazing. Over $1 billion worth of assets under management are just in the speakers. So it's a pretty crazy thing that I feel like just kind of happened over the last couple of years. That's been crazy. And then we started Conduit Capital about 2.5, 3 years ago. Actually, the whole idea started 4 or 5 years ago. I had been borrowing money from people to do our deals, which I still do a little bit of that. So whenever we started doing deals ourselves in 2017, with our own companies, I have a list now of about 230, 240 names right in my Podio private lenders app. And whenever we have a deal, we send that deal out to our private lenders. We don't send it out to all of them at once. We just send it out to 1 or 2 at a time. And so we've borrowed all this money. We had this list, and I started talking to one of my mentors. He's like, that's a really valuable list. You probably really should do more with that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Because there was a time where we were flipping, 150, 200 homes a year. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that for the rest of my life. I'm not going to flip, 200 houses a year for the rest of my life. Right now, we're down to about 40, and then we're building about 5 to 10 new builds a year right now as well. On top of that, in that company, because we're doing so many other things with our other companies. We're building our property management company. We're building our own portfolio. We're building the education company. We are building the construction company. And we are building the fund, which again, I kind of believe this is kind of like, beliefs here, but I don't really believe that the flipping business is a great business. It's not a great business model. It's a great hobby. It's a great way for somebody to make money that's going to do it by themselves, that's going to work hard for 5 or 6 years and make a good amount of money to be able to go do something else with it. But as far as a business model that sits back and you sit in the owner's box, and everything is done for you, in my opinion, there's a reason why you never see Fortune 500 companies that are flipping companies. You have Fortune 500 companies that are new construction builders, but you never see flipping companies that are Fortune 500 companies. It's not scalable. You get to a certain point and the expenses just cost more than it's honestly worth. So you got to find that sweet spot that you can do with the right amount of overhead. So I've kind of been not transitioning out, but just changing that whole business model over the last couple of years. One of the pivots that we made in 2021, 2022 was kind of, focusing more on construction. I started seeing what my contractors were charging me. And I was like, if they can charge that much money, what the heck am I doing flipping houses? Because they're going to make more money on these than I am. And so we've kind of really ramped up the construction, ramped down the flipping, and also gotten into new construction, which I think will kind of be steady for the next year or so in my market, but I think it'll have another ramp up at some point, especially though in Gary, Indiana. So that kind of brings me all back to Conduit Capital. I know we have a lot going on, and I know that's a lot of rabbit trails there for everybody to follow. So about 5 years ago, I started just private lending my own money. And then I started learning how to wrap lend, and I'm like, okay, well, I can kind of, wrap lending is almost like a brokerage. You're kind of brokering deals. You're just making the points on the top, and I can do it with my self-directed IRA, and that's a great way to build your wealth. And I was like, this is fun, this is good. But then I started getting more and more interest from that, and more investors that said, hey, I want to be a part of this. I love to do lending, but I don't want to do all the work myself. I don't want to go out and find all the deals. I don't want to have to underwrite the deals. I don't want to do the paperwork. If there's a foreclosure, I don't want to have to mess with that. So we created Conduit Capital Lending Fund, and that's kind of where we're at today. We still have all these businesses. We're still doing all of this today. We just closed our initial offering with our legacy fund with Conduit Capital, and we just opened up our new debt fund. We'll probably be opening up an equity fund here in the next 2 or 3 years with that.
Yes. Tom, I want to go back to what you were talking about specifically with Gary, Indiana. And I know you've been working hard to transform the community. How has the response been with your efforts with that?
I will say, Erika, it's been very, very mixed. So in the investor community, it's been mostly thumbs up. The investor community, except for when I first started. So when I first started 2016, 2017, I was telling all of my investors, I was saying, hey, I can sell you turnkeys right now for $45,000 and $50,000 and $60,000. And I'm like, it might be time to start taking chips off the table in those markets that you bought 4 or 5 years ago and start buying here. A couple of them were very smart. A couple of them heeded the advice. Most of them didn't, because they were like, okay, why I'm making good money with the rentals that, you sold me in Hammond and Maryville and all those other areas. And the ones that did, that got in early, have been absolutely, honestly, like, if you just think about it, if you're a passive investor and you buy a property from a turnkey provider, and in 5 years that property doubles or triples in value. I mean, I've had so many of them. I actually just got a message 2 days ago from one of my Israeli investors, and he just said, I just got the check from Huntington. I just want to let you know, I'm super thankful for you and your team. You are a rare person. You're very hard, people like you are very hard to find. And I was like, that to me is like the best thing I could possibly hear, is when my investor's happy, when my investor gets a $100,000 check from closing and they've owned a property for 5 years. What's the ROI on that? You know what I mean? It's like, everybody wants to talk about cash flow. I'm like, guys, listen, cash flow is great. I love cash flow, don't get me wrong. But for cash flow for rentals, it's really more about keeping the deal together so you can eventually get the depreciation, the appreciation, and you can get the equity pay down that your tenants are actually paying for you. That's where the big money's at when it comes to rentals. But it's been a mixed bag. Investor community, I said, mostly been positive, except for the local people that originally said, oh no, it's never going to work. You're wrong. Gary's never coming back. You're just going to, it's a horrible idea. Literally, I still remember the Facebook posts. I actually took screenshots of them, of local investors like lambasting me, saying I was stupid, saying that I had no idea what I was talking about. And it's funny because those same investors are now flipping in Gary. Those same investors are now also trying to come along for the ride. But they weren't willing to be first in. I will say it's been the city has been very welcoming for the most part, but the community itself has been very, very mixed. There are some people that love what we're doing, and it's very heartbreaking, honestly, at times, where when you send something out and people are like, don't give this guy anything, don't sell him anything, and it's really strange. I pray about it. I kind of think about it. I try to talk to other people about it in the community and say, hey, what can we do to better? And they were just like, you know what, naysayers are always gonna be naysayers. And like, somebody that have people that have something to complain about always have something to complain about. So I will say it's been a mixed bag. But hey, I still think it's my purpose. I still think it's part of the reason why I've been created and put on this earth. We put our office in Gary. on purpose in 2017. And then in 2020, I still remember I had COVID, right? Everybody had COVID in 2020. I had COVID. I'm laying in my bed, sicker than I've ever been. And my wife's like, I found my house. This is my house. This is my home alone house. And it's for sale. Because I guess because she had helped us in acquisitions. And she found this house that we now live in. And she's like, we're going to buy this house. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I have COVID. I don't even have an opinion, right? And so that's where we live today. We live right in the heart of Gary, right by the hospital, right in downtown. And we do that on purpose, not because we're trying to, be goody two shoes, or not because we want to do anything, but I kind of look at it like a missionary. If you're a missionary in Guatemala, you can't live here in the United States. And if I'm going to really flip the city of Gary, Indiana, and if my heart's really going to be in Gary, Indiana, we're also going to move to Gary, Indiana. So we did that about 3.5 years ago. And so we are rooted there in the community. And again, I don't really believe politics is my mission, but I have been working with government officials, and we've been trying to do whatever we could possibly do to entice other business to come to Gary, Indiana. I feel like the housing stock has already changed. I mean, it's already changed. If you think you're going to get in now on the ground floor, Gary, sorry. Like, I still think it's going to double in price again, but it's not going to triple again, in 7 years. But the housing stock has already flipped. It's already changed. But now the next step, in my opinion, is business and bringing more business to Gary. And we're starting to see this a little bit, but I'd love to see it in a lot larger grand scale.
Yeah, that's very exciting, Tom. I love everything that you've shared today. Before we go, one thing that I want to ask is, what piece of advice would you give to someone just starting off in real estate? You've learned to juggle so many plates. If someone is just getting started, whether they want to focus on one thing or they might want to build something more brick by brick, what would you say?
So I'd give people 2 pieces of advice. I think, and it doesn't really matter. I think introvert or extrovert, I think people look at things a little bit differently, but I think these really apply to both. And normally it's the extroverts that are not going to like the first piece of advice I say. It's the introverts that are going to love it, but it's read. I promise you, like, you get up and you read. I don't care if it's 10 pages a day, whatever it is. I don't even care if you listen to books, whatever it is. Fill your mind with positive stuff. Like, what you put in your mind is just like what we put in our computer. It's kind of like AI, right? Like, whatever you put in, whatever prompt you put into AI determines what AI is going to spit out. And whatever we put inside of us is what's going to get out. So if you want to have the knowledge, if you want to be able to be at a point somewhere in the future, is read. And then I think the second thing, and again, extroverts love to tell me I don't read. I'm like, I don't care. Then, like, put the headphones in and put Audible in when you're on the treadmill. I don't really care what it is, but you've got to get that stuff inside of you. And then the second one is what the extroverts like and the introverts don't like, and that is show up. I mean, I cannot tell you how much value I have gotten from masterminds through the years, from going to 3-day events. Now, I'm not talking about these events that try to sell you into $50,000, program. Just stay away from those. Always say no. They're a waste of time. You'll never get your money out of them, in my opinion. Now, there are some $25,000, $30,000 masterminds that I've been a part of. I've had tremendous value from. The mastermind community is completely different than these $50,000 rich dad, poor dad programs. And I'm just not a big fan of those, like, education, platforms. The 3-day events that are $5.99, that are $8.99, that are $9.99, I promise you, there is more money. There's more network. There's more smart people in those rooms. And it was interesting to me. I just had another really smart guy, and it was weird because he was even at an event. I guess he was speaking at that event, but he asked me, he's like, Tom, why do you come to these events? Because I wasn't speaking at this particular event, although the host actually had me come up and speak and do some panels, and I wasn't scheduled to speak there. But the guy's like, why do you even come to this? He's like, you don't need. I'm like, every time I come to one of these meetings, I meet somebody, I learn something, and I promise you, like, you have to show up. And what rubs me really the wrong way is these guys that think they know it all. They won't show up to local meetup groups. They won't show up to the local RIAs, and they're like, it's just a waste of time. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, if it's just a reminder of something that you already know. I met my biggest private lender at a RIA club about 10 years ago. This little Chinese lady named Helen. And at the end of the day, she looked up at me and she's like, Tom, I want to loan you money. And I was like, I didn't ask her. I didn't even tell her what I did. She just came up to me, and it's interesting. I've never sent her a deal that she said no to. I have no idea how much money this lady has. And I try to not even send her stuff to her. I never send stuff to her at the beginning. It's always kind of like, okay, let's send it to this person, this person, this person. Let's see if they've got money sitting. And then it's kind of like, okay, if we need to get the deal funded, send it to Helen, like that. But I met her at a meetup group. So I really think that those two things are super, super important. And lastly, is have goals. You have to have goals. And then you don't just have to have goals, but you have to go back. We do this in all of our companies. We've got 9 different companies that we have P&Ls that we actually are focused on. And every company, every quarter, we are reviewing last quarter. We're setting goals for next quarter, or rocks, whatever you want to call them there. And we're solving issues, but set goals. Don't just set goals, but review them. Set a time frame for those goals, review the goals. And what you'll find out is at the beginning of setting goals and reviewing goals, you'll really suck at it. It's kind of like riding a bike. It's like you're running your business, but you will get so much better by setting goals and then reviewing goals. So you'll get better at setting the goals. You'll get better at reaching the goals. And so those are the 3 pieces of advice I think are more powerful than anything else. So read, show up, and make sure you're focused on, dream big, but set goals, set measurables, set your rocks, set your scorecard every week and make it happen. That's really how, and it's interesting. Us in this real estate world, we look at corporate world kind of like, oh, we don't want to be like them. But hey, there's a reason why the Fortune 500 companies got to where they are. It's because that's the program. That's the steps that you have to take in order to be a real business.
Yeah. Wow. Tom, you've touched on so many awesome things today. I really appreciate all the advice and insight that you've shared with our listeners today. Before we wrap up, if someone wants to get in touch with you, collaborate, learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Sure. So we've got many different avenues. I'm going to try to touch on just a few, if you don't mind. First of all, we do have an Active Turnkey podcast that we talk about building and managing rental portfolios for investors. You can find that in all the podcast platforms, Active Turnkey podcast. We also have You Conduit Capital. So the word you, conduitcapital.com. If you're interested in our fund and what we're doing there, you can hop on a call with us and make that happen as well. And then also, if you want to come see us and see what we got going on, we also have a 3-day event in September called the Gary Dealmaker. You can go to dealmakergary.com or goodsuccess.com, and you can find out more information about that as well. Those are probably the best ways to get a hold of us. So with those 3 different ways, there's also ways to get in touch with us and get on our calendars to have a conversation with either myself or somebody on my team as well. But we'd love to have you. We'd love to see you at the September event.
Thanks again for being on. It's awesome, everything that you're building, and I love what you're doing in the industry. Everything you do, you're doing with purpose and impact.
Well, awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys and everything you guys are doing. If there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know. I'd love to help.
Awesome. For those of you tuning in, if you got value from this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the Real Estate Pro Show. We've got more conversations coming up with operators like Tom who are out there making big moves in real estate. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.